Welcome to A Lunch with Biggie, a podcast about small business and creatives sharing their stories and inspiring you. My guests this week are graphic designers turned bakers. They're making small batch rum cakes with flavors inspired by your favorite cocktails and nostalgic snacks. Please welcome the owners and bakers behind Bang Bang Bakehouse, Raquel Figueroa and Christian Rosario. What's going on, guys? How you guys doing today?
Hi, Biggie. We're doing good.
Hey.
So thank you guys so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. What's since we're in a lunch break, what's your go-to lunch or sandwich?
Okay, so I came prepared with multiple answers because I can't just pick one. So,
Okay.
So I'm gonna start with breakfast, right? Because I'm from New Jersey. I was born and raised in Jersey. So my go-to growing up was always Taylor ham, egg, and cheese on a roll. Has to be on a roll.
All right, hold on. You're from North Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Where
Taylor
in North
ham,
Jersey?
not pork roll.
No, I'm with you. I'm from North Jersey. I call it Taylor ham too. So where in North Jersey are you from?
So I was born and raised in Paterson, New Jersey.
Oh yeah, that's where my grandparents are from. We've talked about this. Yeah.
Nice, yes. So then my mom had a video store, like a video rental store, my whole life in Passaic, New Jersey. So I kind of I grew up there too. Paterson, Passaic area.
Okay, so Taylor ham, egg, and cheese on a roll for breakfast.
Yes.
What's the lunch?
Then so for lunch I have multiple answers too. So like if I'm at a sub shop, my go-to is Italian, right?
Yep.
If I'm at a Cuban cafeteria in Miami, pan con bistec.
Okay.
Is my go-to, and it has to have like limon on the steak because I'm big on limon on everything I eat. So I always throw some limon in there. But then lately at home, now that we work from home and all that, we've been on this kick lately, which I wanted to tell you about. So it's very simple, it's very basic, but it's delicious. So we get plain sliced white bread, Publix sweet ham, thinly sliced, like so thin you can almost see through it. That's my favorite.
Okay.
Yellow American cheese. Pastrami turkey. I don't know if you've tried that from Publix before. It's turkey breast, but it's seasoned with pastrami seasoning, and it's freaking delicious. We put that in there. Genoa salami, spicy brown mustard, and then on the side that has the mayo, I put a little scoop of that hoagie spread that is like crushed cherry peppers. Mm-hmm. I mix that in with the mayo. So good. So that's been our lunch lately.
That's a good one. Do you guys toast the bread when you do that, or no toast on the white bread?
No toast.
No, I don't because I like the squishy white bread.
Yeah, you like it squishy.
So, okay. Depending on the sandwich,
Christian, what about you? What's your go-to sandwich?
For me, my whole life, I think it's a medianoche sandwich.
You can't go wrong with a medianoche. It's good.
I think it's just like a Cuban sandwich, but that sweet bread always does it for me. With a coffee, it could be a lunch, it could be late at night. It doesn't matter. I love a medianoche.
No, that's
my go-to.
All amazing,
whenever
all great
it's available,
choices.
That's my go-to. Yeah.
But when you say whenever it's available, so you go anywhere who has it, you'll eat it?
Well, if it's appropriate, like it has to be like a Cuban place.
That's
like it couldn't be like a random American place that have a Cuban. Unless I tried it before and it's good. But and we lived in Miami for like more than 10 years. So there's plenty of options over there.
Yeah. Not as many options, obviously, where you guys live in Lakeland now, right?
Yes.
So we live close to Lakeland. Like that's where the kitchen is based that we work out of.
Okay.
We actually live in Auburndale.
Yeah.
If you ever heard of it, it's a very small town. Yeah. But yeah, not that many options. I haven't seen medianoche ever here.
Yeah.
No, for sure not. For sure no. All right. So tell people the story behind Bang Bang Bakehouse. How did it all start 4 years ago?
So yes, we started in 2020. We're pandemic babies. And we started down in Miami. We were living in Miami. And this is back when we were dating before we got married. We were living together in an apartment and during COVID, obviously. So we were working from home and Chris actually got furloughed from his job. So it was that moment where he was like, I want to do something. We need to do something creative, And we both come from backgrounds with our families owning businesses our whole life. We both grew up in our family businesses. So we always kind of knew we wanted to start a business too. So in that moment, we were like, oh, since we're both graphic designers, let's brand something, let's package something. So I had this rum cake that I had been making for years and years since I was like 21, for like just my friends and family, just for fun. And it started out with just making it for one friend's birthday. And from there, like family started trying it. And I had to show up to every holiday and birthday with that one cake. And it was like this big rum bun cake. And that was like my thing, you know? So we took that product and turned it into a single serve jar, which during the pandemic was perfect because
Yeah.
people weren't, you know, some people were celebrating their birthday alone and they just wanted that one little jar. So we were like really thoughtful about the packaging. We started sketching it out. We made the website. Chris also does like some photography, so we did all the photos. So that was like our thing for a couple of months, just researching, putting that together. And luckily, we had some good connections down there in Miami that got us into some local food blogs and food articles. So that came out. And from there, we just started getting orders once we launched. We launched in August, which we're about to turn forward this Friday coming up.
Yeah.
So we started getting a bunch of orders and it just took off from there. And we would do only local delivery at the time because we started off as a cottage food operation because we baked everything in the apartment, which was crazy. So we would go every Saturday delivering from door to door all over Miami, like North Miami all the way to Homestead. Like we would spend the whole Saturday delivering. It was crazy, but that's all we could do at the time. So whatever, we did it. And yeah, we made some really cool connections down there that got us into some like collaborations with restaurants, things like that. So it was really cool down there. Then the following year we got married and we wanted to look for a house to move into, which seemed impossible in Miami. So since we both worked remote anyway, we're like, oh, we can just start looking a little more north. And we like this area anyway to begin with, Central Florida. So we started looking up here, but we kind of took like a year and a half hiatus between when we were in Miami to when we started back up here. So we actually started back up June of last year, and we kind of had to just start all over again, basically, because the only
I was gonna ask about that because you're going from being known in Miami to now going and you're like unknown commodity here in Central Florida.
Yep. And we weren't even shipping nationwide yet. So it was strictly just the local Miami people that knew we even existed. So, you know, it was a big decision to make, but we did it. We moved. And during that year that we were kind of on hiatus after we moved in, we settled in, we kind of started like, you know, researching the areas up here and going to the markets ourselves and pop-ups. And we started noticing markets and pop-ups are like a huge thing here. Like, at least from what we experienced more than in Miami, like,
yeah,
a lot of people come out to these markets and pop-ups up here. So once we started again from home as a cottage food, which luckily at the time we did some research and they had just changed the law where cottage food operations could ship nationwide. Like they could ship any product, because before that you weren't allowed to. You can only go, you know, physically in person to give it to customers. Yeah. So we're like, perfect, let's start doing shipping nationwide. And then we also started applying to markets, things like that locally here.
So tell me a little bit about how you guys have kind of, because there must have been some kind of learning curve, you know, especially when you're kind of going from South Florida to Central Florida. What are some things that you kind of learned along the way from the time that you guys started from like seeing the markets that you were looking at to figure out of like, where should I apply or not apply? You know, and then the other thing is like, will people like, you know, how will people react to my product? Is the other thing. So talk a little bit about that, about someone who, you know, going and looking at trying to figure out where to sell at. And then also what's the best way for you to market, especially when you're selling something like food related, to be able to do that and kind of have people try it before they buy it.
So, well, before we even moved, we started doing research on like what foodie type of things are happening around here. So we already kind of knew where to start looking. So we knew that like Milk Mart existed. And then down here in Lakeland, in the downtown Lakeland curb market that they do every Saturday. So we started going to the markets as customers, you know, and we saw how packed they got. So the main thing we noticed is when we started doing, and we hadn't done that many markets actually in Miami. We really got into that here.
I was gonna say, because that's a big change. Because in Miami, I could imagine that it's not as popular to do, like you said, markets versus here in Central Florida.
We did one market our whole time that we were doing in Miami. We did one market, but it was mostly that local delivery. So when we moved here, we applied to all of them. And in the very beginning, it was kind of hard because since we didn't have much experience in pop-up markets, we didn't have much to show for it. So we weren't getting accepted to some of them in the beginning, which I kind of knew what happened because, you know, I didn't have anything to show for that. So once we got into our first one, Um, Chris happened to find a bicycle cart on Facebook Marketplace. It was super rusty, and he fixed it up and rebranded it as Bang Bang, and that became our market setup, and we still use it now. So we went all out with that first market. Unfortunately, it didn't do that
what
great.
was the first market? Let's give them a shout out for giving you guys a shot. What was the first market?
Well, it was Buena Market's Disco Fest,
Yes.
Okay.
which was an amazing event.
Yeah.
Yes, and then so we didn't do as well as we do now because I know we were brand new. Nobody knew we existed.
Yeah.
So the good thing is what we did, which we still do now because we feel like it helps, it works, is we always bring little samples of every single flavor that we're selling. The samples help. It's like Costco style. People come up, they try it,
That's
they
all
like
you
it
want.
right there on the spot. Like it sells itself,
Yeah.
So that's one main thing that I would suggest if you can bring out samples of your stuff. So that was our first one. Then the next market right after that was at Bonnet Springs Park here in Lakeland. It's a huge, beautiful park. And it was for the Hispanic Heritage Market last September, I think it was.
Yeah.
So that was our second market. So we went into it the same way we kind of went into the first one where, we're starting out small, but it was so many people, so huge that we sold out in like, I think it was like the first 2 hours, and it was an 8-hour event. Like,
oh my,
crazy. It was such a huge learning curve in that sense, like learning how many cakes to bring. We still, still kind of tricky figuring out depending on the event, how many to bring.
Yeah.
So that was like such a huge difference between the first and second market. But yeah, we're still learning.
No, that's how it is. So tell me how the name came about. Like, how did the name Bang Bang Bakehouse, like where did that come from?
Basically because we make cake with a bang, like we wanted the name of the company to kind of describe what it is that you feel when you eat the cake. And it's rum cake, but I really tried to make the rum flavor come through. So it's like a bang in your mouth when you eat it, pretty much.
So I will say I had you guys were very sweet and sent me a care package, and my parents actually came to visit me today. And so I actually had everybody in my house, my mom, my dad, and I got to all sample it. Nice. My daughter sampled it as well, which she's 16, but I was like, oh well, let's have a taste. Let's see. My wife will try it probably when she gets home. They're delicious. They are delicious. I have had them before. I know you guys sent me, like, was it the old fashioned, like your traditional old fashioned, and then the cortadito, which is delicious as well. And they're super good. What I love about them is that it's like almost looks like I forget the name of the brand. There's like a certain gelato brand, but it's like a perfect size case with with like your layering, all the layering that you guys have on it. It works out really well, and like it just it's just I mean, it was delicious, and it does give you a bang. Like my mom, I remember my mom was like, oh yeah, there's some rum in here. I was like,
yeah. We get that reaction at markets when they sample it. Some people look at us like, wait, I can really taste the rum. Like,
I'm like, well, it is rum cake. I need you to know about it.
That's the whole point.
No, I like that. How did you guys come up with the flavors, the different flavors you guys offer?
So the original one, the OG, is the same cake that I used to make back in my 20s. I just kept developing it over the years because I used to start out making it like from the box cake. Like I found a recipe online, just did it, and I just kept doing that. But over the years, I kept developing it. And now, especially with the business, I wanted to make sure it was completely from scratch. And I'm not even a professional baker. I'm a graphic designer, and I just do this from home. So I really developed it and did a lot of research and came up with that one OG recipe, which when we first started in Miami, that was the only flavor we had, which is kind of crazy when I think back now. So for that whole like year and a half that we were running in Miami, it was the one flavor only. And we had it in jar form and in like rum balls form. That's it. So since then, once we moved and all that, I was like, all right, I think it's time bring in a new flavor. So we kind of grab inspiration from like where we're from, our culture. Because I'm half Cuban, half Nicaraguan. Chris is Puerto Rican. But then obviously we lived in Miami. I lived in Miami for more than half my life already, over 20 years. So cortadito is obviously something super close to both of us. And we also base most of our flavors are all inspired by craft cocktails because we also love cocktails. So I'm an espresso martini kind of girl. So I wanted to make an espresso martini flavor, but also with a little bit of that nostalgia of, cortadito from Miami. So we try to mix a little bit of the two things in every flavor. So that's where we got the cortadito one from. During the holidays, we do a coquito, obviously, for Chris. We do a coquito rum cake. The guava and queso obviously is based off
Yep, that
guava and
one's
queso
very good.
pastelitos, you know.
Yes, yes.
The new one that we just launched that I sent you is the old school, which is based off an old fashioned, which is another favorite cocktail around here.
Yeah.
But then like I wanted to add something nostalgic to it. So another thing that we liked growing up was orange creamsicle. So that's why we made the icing orange creamsicle, and it goes with that flavor. So I always try to find a way to bring in something nostalgic, even though it's based off a cocktail, like a grown up thing. I try to bring
Yeah.
something from my childhood that I liked into it.
So it's like a mix. Now, is that similar to how your design style is for you guys? Like, would you like, because obviously it's everything's very clean, in like in your branding and your marketing, but is that something how you when you design, is that something that you kind of like, a little bit of retro, a little bit of,
Yes.
is that kind of how you guys do it when you guys design?
Yeah. So like our whole concept when we were developing the brand was this is a like rum cake is something so classic, but we're, putting our twist on it, updating it. So we kind of wanted the branding to kind of give you that same feeling you get when you walk into an old diner or a deli, but then we wanted to be bold and catchy, and Bang Bang is something fun and catchy that you're gonna remember. And we didn't want to wanted to stand out against what you typically see for a bakery. That's why we made it like so
Yeah.
bold, with the black
Yeah.
and yellow. And it's something
No, I
that you
love it.
remember when you see it.
I love it. I think it's great. It is very eye catching, um, for sure. Now, do you guys do this both full time now, or is this something that you guys do, like you guys work and then also do Bang Bang on the side, like kind of like two full time jobs is how I call it.
Yeah, so we have both have full time jobs in corporate graphic design world, different companies. Luckily, we work from home, so we have all the afternoon and weekend to bake and do all the projects and whatnot, and
Photography, everything else,
photography and
social
whatever.
media,
So yeah,
so
during
many
the
things.
day we are graphic design, plugged to the computer all day, going to meetings and teams and all that stuff. But yeah, hopefully one day we can just focus on the cake business.
No,
But
I
yeah,
mean,
for
and
now.
that's kind of the way you have to work it, right? And you guys
Mhm.
have worked you guys, it seems like you guys worked a system, a proper system, because it looks like, I think from what I saw, you guys mail out on Mondays. How does that work?
Mm-hmm.
What is it? So you order online. Tell people a little bit about it. If they go on to, the bangbangbakehouse.com, how does it work when they go and they're like, oh, I want to have, like, let's say they heard the guava and cheese or the cortadito
Mm-hmm.
or the OG or the old fashioned. Tell people like how that works when they go and order, what they should expect, to get from you guys, and then how you've kind of created a process for like shipping and things like that.
So yeah, we open up ordering from Tuesdays to Fridays. That way we know Friday night how many cakes we need to ship out Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So and we try to make it very like big in your face so that because I know a lot of places, they'll ship out the next day, but we're just not at that capacity right now.
Correct.
So, we kind of just like to cut it off Fridays and whatever it is, that's what we ship out Mondays. Um, and we kind of like suggest for people to get it next day or if they can. Obviously, I know shipping gets more expensive. Or 2 days max if they can.
Yeah.
Which right now we don't even have all our flavors on the website. We have only the ones that don't like the guava and cheese is the one that so far we haven't figured out a way that's not too expensive to ship it because it has the cream cheese frosting on it. So we would have to get into dry ice and all that for that one,
Oh,
which
okay.
it's going to get more expensive for the customer. So I'm trying my best to find a way. We get requests all the time, people asking when are we going to ship that flavor. So eventually, I'm hoping that we can update the packaging to all have dry ice, and that way they're all safe no matter what. No matter what flavor we come out with, we can throw it on the website. So it is more limited on the website. That's why we do pop ups and market so much because we can bring everything there in person.
Yeah.
Also, we're starting to get into because we actually started in January working out of a commissary kitchen in Lakeland. So that opened up the doors to so many other things. Now we can do retail, we can do restaurants, bars can carry our
Yeah, you
product
could
now.
do yeah, you could do they can buy it wholesale from you, or be
Exactly.
able to
Yeah.
be able to do it that way.
Yes. So we've been, starting to focus on that now. And so far we have one retailer in downtown Lakeland called Bodega Market that she carries all the flavors that we've made so far. So we kind of direct people there if they're local, just because there they can get, all the flavors compared to
No,
online.
that's awesome. I love the fact that you guys have looked at it that way and kind of are trying to figure out what else can I do. Do you a lot of times sometimes will you do like have you ever done like a like let's say you guys do a pop-up and you have all this extra inventory, do you guys sometimes be like, oh yeah, we gotta if you order if you order by Saturday or Sunday, we'll get it out to you on Monday. These are what we have, limited stock or whatever.
Well,
Do you ever do stuff like that so that way like you're because that's got to be tough because like whatever you don't sell, there's got to be like a balance. How do you guys figure that out entre going the route of ordering, like doing, creating for the orders and then also creating for, like you said, like the event, what's too much, what's too little, because then you also want to have like, I don't want to have leftovers because
exactly.
obviously it's not like me where I have t-shirts that doesn't do anything. You guys have food.
Yes.
And like I know there's a certain shelf life when it comes to that, either refrigerated or not. But then how do you figure out that and how do you work? How have you found that balance?
Well, the great thing about these jars is you can freeze them. So we have that to our advantage. Like we don't freeze them, forever, but
Yeah.
we typically say that they can freeze for up to like 3 months. So we do actually keep like a stock of inventory, like if anything, and that's why when we go to markets, we take them in the cooler still frozen. So whatever's left over, we freeze it, and we just have that log going of how much longer they can last for, and we just keep selling them because they're perfectly fine as long as they're still frozen.
That's smart. No, I love that. I think that's super smart. How difficult was the learning process, especially since you guys now ship nationwide? How difficult was the process to figure out like how should I package this? Because like that's got to be a tough one when it comes to things like with food, because you can't control where it goes or how it's done,
Yes.
and then like the quality of what their people are expected to get when they open it and stuff like that. So how have you guys like how did you guys do some of that testing when you were in the beginning?
So we have family that lives in California, New Jersey, obviously. So we kind of test ship there because it's weird. Like New York, New Jersey, for some reason, it takes longer for things to
Yeah.
ship there than to like
Mm-hmm.
Texas. I don't know. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
So I like testing those two regions. And it's something that honestly we still struggle with a little bit because as much as we pack them very tightly with the craft paper and all that,
Yeah.
and they're actually frozen when we actually ship them, but they defrost during transit.
Of course.
That's where the dryers would come in later. But normally, like 99% of the time, they're totally fine when they get anywhere. The worst thing that happens is the mailman, flipped it over for a long time and the icing kind of gets stuck to the lid.
Yep.
But whatever, people don't mind because you just scrape it off and keep cleaning. It's fine.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I did. I had one.
Yeah.
I had one that was perfect, and then one I just scraped, and it just came down. I was
Mhm.
like, I don't care. It's gonna be all. I'm gonna eat it anyhow. So it's
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It's funny that you say that because that's how I did it when I first started trying to figure out how I wanted to wrap my shirts, and I couldn't figure out because originally, all my stuff comes wrapped like a bag, like a sandwich,
Mhm.
but I put it in a box. But originally, the original concept was I was gonna grab a shirt and I was gonna wrap it like a sandwich, and
Mhm.
then I was gonna throw it in like basically like a grocery store bag
Oh yeah.
and
That's
make
cool.
it look like exactly how it is. And I would mail it, and I mailed it out to my friends like that. What I did was I bought undershirts. I had like old t-shirts I didn't care about, and I
Mhm.
literally shipped the same idea. I shipped it to a friend in like Virginia, one in California, in Oregon, one in New
Yeah.
Jersey. I went to like all these different places, and then I like shipped them a shirt and I wrapped it in like aluminum foil, like anything I could figure out, like how do you wrap a sandwich?
Yeah.
And I sent it to them to see, but it looked like a mess because when it happened. So then I ended up doing boxes and putting the bag inside a box, so that way when you
Okay.
pull it out. But that's kind of how you have to do it is R&D and use people and be like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I'm like, why don't you let me
Exactly.
know how this, like, I'm like, I'm going to send you something. You just have to let me know what did it look
Yes.
like when you got it.
That's how we do
And
it.
did it work and how does it taste and all that other
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Our family loves being the test
The
dummies
guinea
for this.
pig.
They're like, yeah, send me the cake. I don't care.
Yeah.
Send it to me. Send me all the cake.
Yeah.
I love that. So one of the things that I'm trying to figure out is how do you guys break up the work? Because I know Raquel, you do a lot of the baking, but I'm assuming like do you guys how do you guys figure out and break it up? Because you have to, cook in the commissary kitchen, you got orders to fill, social, all that stuff.
It's like a symphony of two. We get together in the kitchen, and I'm cracking eggs. She's mixing the batter, and we
And
have
we
a
have
system that we just we do it together. It works.
Yeah, we actually do like all the components of it, like the baking, we do it together. The taking the pictures, we do it together. Like everything, we kind of just split it to make it quicker. You know, we do everything
I
quicker
love it.
that way, knock it out quicker. So we do a lot of like the photo shoots for every time we come out with a new flavor. We do a whole photo shoot for it because to us it's a big deal every time we come out with a new flavor because we don't have that many. So whenever we do have a new one, we give it a name. We do a whole photo shoot for it, do a whole launch for it. So we set up our little DIY photo studio here at home. And we're doing that all weekend. Yeah, but we just do every task together. Like we just split it half and half.
Mm-hmm.
And then do you both come together kind of coming up with like the recipes and the flavors of like when you're trying to come up with it? Like you're like, oh, this, what about this?
Yeah, it's usually me telling Chris my crazy ideas and he's like, you sure?
Yeah.
You sure people are gonna like that? I'm like, yes, it's gonna be amazing. Watch. But then it comes down to like actually making it and testing them, and we do a lot of R&D, a lot of trials, until it's perfect. And then yeah, he ends up caving at the end and liking my crazy ideas.
So two questions. One is favorite cocktail, since you guys talk about you like cocktails. So I'm curious about your favorite cocktail, and then which one is your favorite out of like what's your go-to if someone said, hey, which one's your favorite, because that's something my daughter loves to ask people, especially creators. She's like, which one is your favorite, which one do you recommend, like what's your favorite if someone were to be like, hey, which one do I order for Bang Bang Bakehouse, what's your go-to?
So you want to go first?
So my favorite cocktail will be an old fashioned.
Okay.
There's a local bar here in Lakeland that makes a tequila old fashioned that I love. It's like it's clear, it looks like water almost, and it's delicious. So yeah, I go for old fashions mostly whenever I'm at a cocktail bar or beer. I'm a beer drinker. For the cakes, I like all of them, but I always go back to the original flavor. It's still my favorite, even though I love all of them. Every time I try a piece of the original from the tray, it's like, oh, this is so good. Like I just love it. You know, it's like simple and good, and I love it. It's my favorite.
Okay.
I think that's the flavor that you taste the rum the most in, actually. That's what I tell people at markets if they're asking, what they would like. Because all the other flavors have such a strong, flavor profile of whatever it is we're trying to replicate. But the rum cake is just the most simple one. So you taste the rum the most in that one.
I like that. And then is your cocktail is it the, what you call it, coffee martini? Is that your cocktail, or what's your cocktail?
That's like my second
espresso
favorite
martini.
Cocktail.
Okay.
That's my second favorite. My ultimate favorite that I will have forever is dirty martini, because I love olives. Like since I was little, I can just munch on olives all day. I love them. So when I go to bars, I ask for like dirty martini, but like extra dirty, like filthy, like the most swampy you can make it look. That's my favorite cocktail, with like blue cheese olives with things floating around. That's my favorite. So
okay.
I'm even, I have another crazy idea for possibly trying to turn that into a cake. So we'll see. We'll see what I come up with for that one. But
that's
my favorite cocktail. And out of all the flavors, yes, cortadito is my favorite, just because I love espresso martinis. I love the crunchy, dark, salted dark chocolate crumbles, which when we first came up with that one, we were like, oh my God, I think we just recreated like the Oreos, like outside of an Oreo. That's pretty much what it tastes like. So that in combination with the Café Bustelo that we put in the cake, I think it's delicious.
It's good. It's very good. That was my favorite. That was my favorite one when I was enjoying. I will be having some bites later tonight with it as well. You guys obviously have to balance and manage everything. How are you finding the time to balance all these things? Because you guys work full time. You guys have to create, the stuff to fill the orders online. Also try to figure out markets to go to and sell at markets and prep for markets. How are you guys kind of figuring that out and finding that balance to be able to do that?
It's really hard. Like it's a struggle because we really don't have time for anything else. Like we're lucky if we get to go out to dinner or to a restaurant or something on a weekend, because I have a huge to-do list that we're always trying to knock out. But the good thing I can say is the more markets we've done, the more efficient we've gotten at prepping for them. So like our first market, we took so long coming up with, oh my God, how are we going to put the table? And what sign are we going to put? How are we going to set it up? Like it took forever to pack up every little thing. Now we just know automatically what we need to take. So at least luckily that part gets easier over time.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really just time management. Like nice. Like I have my own little to-do list of things I have to get done that week. And if we have to do it over dinner, like we'll be eating dinner sometimes and still like having like a bang bang meeting. doing things while we're eating, while we're here on the computer, just talking. Good thing at home we work remotely doing our design stuff, so we're in the same room with our computer set up. So we're literally just like yelling to each other, "Hey, what do you think if we do this for Instagram? Whatever." Like I'm always going in my brain,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
stop. Yeah,
No,
which hopefully over time I'll get more time to dedicate to Bang Bang, and it doesn't have to be so crazy.
Yeah, we
no.
keep a big calendar on the wall with everything we have to do. If it's not there, we won't do it. So we put everything there and just keep it organized.
That's similar to Wash and Wick. Wash and Wick has like a huge calendar.
Mm.
They have a huge calendar for that. They also do a huge thing for like their vision and their goals. They write down like what their goals are, what they want to have, so
Mm.
that way they are also seeing it and it's there in front of you.
Yeah.
Which I love, because I think that's so important to be able to kind of see that, especially when it's the two of you working to try to grow and build this. Because that's always a good thing. That's always a good thing, because the two of you together being efficient and figuring out what it is, it's a lot easier than sometimes when you're by yourself and it's just like it's just you. So sometimes you can,
Yeah.
not be as, maybe not be like, oh, I'm tired. I don't want to do that. And you're like, no, we have to. Like, you have
Yes, we definitely have
someone
to
to
push
keep
each
you
other.
accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What advice would you give someone if they wanted to start something?
I would say, like, once you have the idea and you're pretty much ready to go, just go for it without, trying to be so perfect about it. Like, don't wait until it's perfect to launch. Because I'm a perfectionist myself, and if I would have waited until every single thing was ready and like the website was amazing and beautiful, we never would have launched. I would have still been doing sketches. So I would say, like, once you feel like you're ready, just go for it. And you can always make tweaks, as you go. You're gonna learn more things as you go, and it's gonna be even better. And no one is out there paying attention to you as much as you think they are. Like if you tweak something on the website, no one's gonna know. Who's gonna know?
Yeah.
So like just learn to like keep tweaking as you go is my advice.
Yeah, I
What about
think
you, Christian?
that if you have an idea for a business or a project, don't get focused on how things are gonna happen business wise, because you never know what could come your way. So be open, just be open to opportunities, and be on the lookout for opportunities also. So don't get frustrated if it doesn't happen the way you want it to happen. Just stay open and keep going, because it's gonna happen eventually if you keep putting stuff out there in social or tell everybody that you meet. You gotta be your own business card. You gotta tell everybody about it.
And some things might come along that you weren't expecting. That like when we first went into it, we thought the business was gonna go one way and we had just one end goal. But now it's taking its twists and turns, and now we still don't know 100% what exactly we see it ending up as, because there's so many different ways we can go. So we're just kind of going with the flow and taking things as they come.
I think that's the key. I think that's the key to any small business, is to be able to be adaptable, be open to it, be able to kind of see like, okay, I know I'm going to put in the time and the work and the effort, and things will fall into place. And you're right, sometimes you don't know what's going to happen and you don't know where it's going to go, but as long as you are creating a quality product and people are hearing about it and seeing it, and they see that what you guys are doing and what you're working on, then it's just sky's the limit on the
Yes.
opportunities. And being able to do that. The other thing is always staying hungry, being kind of
Yeah.
constantly being able to look at like, what else can I do differently, or what is not working, and how can I fix it, or how can I make it better or improve it. And that's kind of the thing. In time, like you said, it kind of will go, just like you talking about, like, hey, I got to figure out a better way of like dry ice, or some form of
Yeah.
cooling. I mean, like, those are all things that you'll figure out as you go,
Yes.
and you start kind of doing, as time goes and more money comes in, then you're like, oh, I can now invest more into this, because that's kind of the tough part when it comes to a lot of that stuff. It's like
Yeah.
shipping. I mean, shipping is, I have like a love hate with it.
Mm-hmm.
When you want, like, I'm like, oh, I love all the orders, but then at the same time, like, like I said, I have a love hate having
Yes.
to
Yeah.
ship some of these things, because then the cost, you can't control the cost sometimes,
Exactly.
especially if you have to do it certain ways, and certain things weigh a certain thing, and it's just kind of how it is. So I totally get it.
Also, another thing I would say is like don't be afraid to be the underdog. Like obviously there's so many other bakeries out there, like you don't have to invent something brand new every time. It's just you're doing it your way, something that you believe in.
Yeah.
And something that happened to us that made me realize that is we joined last year. We signed up for Dessert Wars. It's like a competition that they do nationwide, strictly for desserts. We signed up for the Tampa one. So we went, and when we got there, we realized, holy crap, what are we doing here? Because every other bakery there, every other like setup had a whole squad of people and like huge setups, and it was just us two. I was thinking, it's gonna be like another pop up. Oh my god! And we had to give out so many samples. It was like Chris had like a I Love Lucy moment with the chocolate. Like
Yeah.
putting
Yes.
together all these samples. It was insane. Like that day, I will never forget that day. And then at the end of the night, we won second place, and I couldn't believe it. It was like the most amazing thing. Like I never ever would have thought we were gonna win something there, based on the experience and the setup. But people like the product, so don't be afraid. Just put it out there.
Was that a full day? Was that a full, just a one day, full day event?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a 1 day event, and they do like a competition in different cities, and then whoever wins, there's like first, second, third place for like the people's choice, and then first, second, third judges' choice. They have a panel of judges from like Food Network, different people.
Yeah.
So we won second place, judges' choice. So anyone that wins from all the different cities, they have a final like nationals at the end of the year, which is in Atlanta. And we actually went. We didn't win there, but we drove to Atlanta with all our stuff. It was like a whole experience. I'll never forget it. It's crazy.
I love that though, and I love the fact that you guys have done it. Are you guys going to do it again next year? Will you guys do this another Dessert
We
Wars in Tampa or no?
Not this year. We didn't sign up for it just because all of a sudden we have so many markets and pop-ups. Like our schedule is crazy that like we just can't. There's no way we can
Yeah.
fit that in right now. So who knows? Maybe in the future, but we'll try again. But for now,
Yeah.
we're keeping busy.
Yeah.
No, I totally get that, and that's kind of the hard part too. Is like you want to do those things, but at the same time, you're like, oh, I need to make sales, and I need to instead of give because in one of those things, I'm assuming you may sell some, but you're really kind of giving out. It's more like building the name. It's
Exactly.
kind of like when like Alex's Fresh Kitchen goes to like what was it called, the Food and Wine in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
It's like him giving out just like tons and tons of free samples
Yes.
to get your name out and get your and get your product out there. So it's definitely a labor of love
Yeah.
with a bunch of with a lot of rum cake being given
Yes.
out.
Yeah, it's worth it. Depending on the event, I think it's totally worth it to get your name out there, meet new people, so people know you exist. And they get to sample your product. We actually did in February. We were at one of the night events, like a party during Sobe Food and Wine. It was the
Mm-hmm.
Noche Cubana that we were
Uh-huh.
invited to. So we gave out cortadito, of course. But that was awesome. We got to give out. Forgot how many samples it was. Like 500, something like that.
500 of.
I was gonna say because I know it's crazy. It's crazy the amount of stuff that they give out when you
Yeah.
do those events. That's awesome. I absolutely love what you guys are doing and everything about it. Do you have any tips, like if for someone that is doing markets, any tips or anything that you recommend or would give or tell someone that would help them, like especially since you guys have done so many markets now or doing more markets? You guys do a lot of outdoor markets as well, so like
Yeah.
do you have any tips or tricks that you want to, like, you're like, hey, this has been like a godsend, like you definitely need to get one of these or do one of these or do this? Do you have anything like that?
I mean, the one thing was fans. Like, bring a fan. Bring. We have so many fans now. We started out with like a little fan that we bought on Amazon. That's like battery charged. That it didn't blow that well. Then Chris got like this industrial one that uses the, what is the brand?
Like the drill battery. You
Yeah.
put
Yeah,
it
yeah,
in.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that one was like more hardcore. But then I even got like recently, the ones that look like headphones, but they sit here on your
Yep,
neck.
yep.
That's the best one because then it's just with you the whole time. So if it's in the summer, for sure get fans. Let me think. What else?
It rains all the time, so be ready for rain. If anything you don't want to get wet, just don't bring it or put it away. Um,
Also, I guess try to do something different. Obviously, something that goes with your brand, that goes with your product. Try to do something that makes your tent stand out among everyone else. Because we've gotten a lot of feedback, a lot of compliments on our bike that we bring to every market because we turned it into like a tabletop. So that's it. We don't have a table up front. So a lot of people come just to compliment us on the bike. Like that attracts people. So I don't know, just bring something, come up with some kind of table or a sign or something different for your tent.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's so true. I think that, and I think so I'll ask the question on expectation. When you go to an event, obviously you want to sell, but what's the expectation when you go and sell on an event like a pop-up event?
I mean, you mean like number wise, like how
I
many?
mean, it
Just in
depends.
general.
That's kind of what I'm asking. Like, I'm not asking for like I want to sell this many units, but I'm kind of curious on like what your mindset is when you guys go into a pop up to do a pop up market. Like, what's the expectation? Because I've had some people that automatically go like, I want to make X, double whatever I paid
Mm-hmm.
for the event. I want to make double. I have others that have like I have a certain monetary number that I expect, and then I have others that are like, hey, I'm just basically gonna just put out my vibe and try to make as many sales as possible, but at the same time get as many people, because at the same time, like you said, people, even though they don't buy and they sample the first time, I'm pretty sure when they come back again, they'll come back and see you guys again, they'll
Yes.
sample again and then be like, oh, I'm gonna buy this time. So I'm
Yeah.
kind of curious, like on when you're selling at different markets, since you guys do, because you guys also do a lot of weekend markets all the time.
Yeah.
What's the expectation when you're going and selling?
So I think the number one goal is to sell everything we bring, because it's food. It could get
Yeah.
bad if we don't sell it. So I want to say like 60% of the times we sell everything, so it's not that bad. But mostly it's meeting people and getting an Instagram follow, telling somebody, hey, I passed by this morning, I tried, I gotta bring my mom. So they go bring somebody from that is in another area of the of
Yeah.
the, of the tents. Meeting people is the most what we really value the most at this point of the brand, because making money is good, but we really want to grow the brand and put it out there as much as we can. That's our goal, because then the money is gonna come whenever. We just
Yeah.
want to put the brand out there. And
We want to meet other vendors too. That's
hmm
been nice making friends with other vendors. Obviously, we want people to try the flavors and then giving them the card. So if they don't want to buy it in the moment, that's fine. But if they ever wanted to buy online, they have that option. So
Yeah.
we like to, we come ready with cards and stickers and all kinds of fun stuff to give to people so that they can take home with them. So maybe later on they'll order online, and that's happened before too. So it's just getting the name out there.
What is the name? Do you have a mascot for your little Bang Bang guy that he's like basically your container,
Yes.
and he's adorable. What's your can what's his the mascot's name?
He doesn't have a name yet. We're still we've
Okay.
been putting the question out there on Instagram and getting some ideas from people, but man,
Uh-huh.
we're torn. Like we still can't decide on the one. So
Okay.
if you have any suggestions, let us know.
All right. I like that. I like that. Where can people follow you guys online? I'll put all this in the show notes, but where can people, if as they're listening and they're kind of craving some rum cake and they want to do an order, or they kind of want to see you guys, where can they follow you? Where can they shop online to pick up some of your small batch rum cakes?
So online, we're on Instagram, Facebook, and we have a TikTok. They're all the same, Bang Bang Bakehouse, at Bang Bang Bakehouse. And the website is bangbangbakehouse.com. And also, since we started getting into the whole retail thing now, we actually have one specialty store carrying our product in downtown Lakeland, Bodega Market. So if you're local, you can just walk in and buy them there.
I want to go check out Bodega Market. It sounds like a
Yeah, it's
cool
really
little
cool.
place.
She has a
I
lot
definitely
of cool local, like she's very curated with everything she carries, and she carries a lot of local product there. So it's really cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I want to thank you guys very much for taking the time to chat with me. I love what you guys are doing and everything, and I think it's a really great what you guys have created, and it's like the my favorite is the fact that it's something that you love doing and we're doing for like 10 years, like just constantly doing, and you just kind of figure it out. Hey, what if I do this? I always think that we sometimes we make it too difficult sometimes, right? Like
Yeah.
people make it a little sometimes too difficult, and you weren't, and like and I think what I love even more is the fact that in the beginning your first year and a half was just one,
Just the
like
one.
is
Yep.
straight up kiss one
Mm-hmm.
product. It was just like my
Mm-hmm.
rum cake, and that was it. And it obviously it's good because it was people kept coming back for more.
Yes. Yep.
And then now you're just adding to it. So I think that's a great message to kind of have. If you're gonna, as you're listening to Christian and Raquel tell their story about Bang Bang Bakehouse, is that what, you know, you just come up with that idea and get it out. Start. Don't get stuck in your head, because you will talk, anyone will talk yourself out of it. It's very easy to do that, but definitely don't do that. That's our show for today. Thank you so much to Raquel and Christian of Bang Bang Bakehouse for being on and having lunch with me. Definitely make sure to check them out. If you've had any of them, by all means, take a picture, share it with us, tag, tell your friends, hey, I've had this, you know, here, listen to their story. It's so great. I definitely want you to make sure to be able to share it. If you see them at a pop-up, definitely go by and visit, have a sample, you know, definitely, and then maybe hit their QR code, and then, so that way, you know where to go and pick up a nice little treat if you need it. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to subscribe to our show. If you want to support me, check out my brand, Deli Fresh Threads, and do some shopping, obviously. And I'm all about sandwich selfies. But thank you. Until next time, keep eating sandwiches and follow your passion. Thanks, everyone.